the recording, so this will be available on the COVOST YouTube channel later. And let me see. Oh, okay. So this is Mickey, and I just wanted to thank you, and it looks like we have a good turnout. So today we're going to go through several items, and hopefully we can get through all of them. We'll do our best. But again, mostly we want to make sure we get all of your feedback and answer any questions you have. So DHSEM is still just me right now. We're hoping to post our communications specialist who coordinates this team this week. So because of that, and it's crazy in this office, Kyle has agreed to come on board as the COVOST training coordinator. So he is stepping up and volunteering his time and all of his talents and training to help COVOST with that. And he's actually going to lead the Slack training after we get done with this business portion. So if you guys have any questions, you can email me. My email's on that agenda. And then just anyone that we're still recruiting. We still have about 35 members on the team, which is awesome. So you can share that information in the agenda for that piece. And then the only other piece that I would like to just remind everyone is to, as we're trying to coordinate all of the member information, people on the team, is to go into that default workbook and update your information on the roster. I will go into the COVOST Google group and use all of the emails from the roster at the end of the day, or I guess the end of the week, to update that Google group so that we have everybody back on. And then I guess the next item would be we will be sending out a call for topics for our training calendar. We want to get back into a basically like an editorial calendar. You know what we're talking about for the rest of the year during these monthly calls so that your time is used appropriately. And then a proposal, many of you emailed me or called me and asked that we change the training back to Fridays, that Tuesdays are not working for you. So our proposal is to move it back to the third Friday of the month at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. And again, everything will be recorded going forward. And that would mean our next meeting is Friday, September 16th at 9 a.m. Does anyone have any concerns with moving it back to Fridays?
That sounds good to me. This is Risa.
Okay. All right, and again, you'll be able to, we'll make sure that things are recorded going forward and that we have those archives so that if you can't attend, which I completely understand, that you can go in and get the information from that archive video. All right, any questions about the team coordination for right now? All right, well, we're going to jump into the two items that we have supported since our last meeting. The first of those is the Cascadia Rising exercise. So if you want to just go to the workbook. So we're going to just bring up the workbook, the after action review. So thank you again to everyone on the team who supported the exercise and supported our crazy Trump activation last Friday. But we wanted to make sure we went through the after-action review to see if there's a better way to do some of the things that we're doing. Again, just to make things easier and more streamlined. So it looks like Kyle, these are the first two are yours. If you want to just talk about those.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. This is Kyle. I am actually here with Mickey down at DHSEM. We won't always be in the same location, but for today, we're joining forces here. So again, for the after action for the Oregon COVOST exercise that we help support for Cascadia Rising, the first two items that I had were one of the things that I found to be really advantageous is to, within the simulated social media environment we were using, just to pick up on those keywords pretty early. We didn't go in with any predefined searches or terms that we were asked to look for. It was basically just requests for assistance and such. And so just identifying keywords early on that could help us to really hone in on the messages that we really needed to escalate and identify. And also then to, for this platform, in the simulation deck environment, or sim deck as it's called, I found it really helpful to break up the monitoring of those keywords between the different team members, since it was really hard for one person to track the wide variety of keywords that on that fire hose of information that was indeed coming in during that exercise.
Do you want to just keep going?
Sure. And so the third item, I know I identified this as well, and a couple other folks did, but when we're entering information into the workbook in the spreadsheet there, in the Google spreadsheet, it is tough sometimes to not overwrite each other when you're entering things in. The cells that people are using don't always, that are highlighted, don't always update right away. So just being patient with it, and just maybe skipping a row and going down, because you can always go back and delete the rows, but we want to try and not overwrite each other. So that'll be something that maybe we can try and keep in mind as we go forward with future activations. The fourth one there, talking about what bleats, or what SimDeck refers to as tweets, saying that they weren't actionable. Again, this is something that we identified fairly early on with this during this activation. So having those terms, maybe trying to get better locations. Again, we possibly could have pulled GPS locations off of these if they were real tweets, but in the environment, the simulated environment that we had, unfortunately, we were not able to do that. So while there is information that we wanted to act on, maybe we didn't have all the information we needed to escalate it. And then, of course, being situationally dependent, they're the fifth one down, or sixth one, saying if we add a location column to the search results, and that's something that we can do. If we need to modify or add a column on the fly in the workbook to make our jobs easier, and we need to call an audible, absolutely, that's something that we can do. And because these workbooks, they're just templates for us, and well, we don't want to change a lot of the behind-the-scenes things. If we do need to tweak them a little bit to make them more user-friendly or applicable to the exercise or the activation for which we're currently active for, then by all means, let's go ahead and take the liberty and do that. Continuing down, difficult to get the links to the individual posts on that simulated platform. Definitely, that is one of the drawbacks that we found using the simulated environment. And Mickey identified that some folks are still having trouble signing into Skype and looking at the team switch to Slack. Thankfully, we have officially transitioned over now as of this meeting. We'll talk about that once we get into the main part of our program here. Tim Stocklin echoing my comments on breaking up the monitoring, spreading out those responsibilities, the keywords that we're watching, and skipping down a few lines, saying again, empty rows can be deleted if necessary, kind of echoing my comments that I made earlier on. And finally, the last comment that Tim had in there was having the lead person from COVOST kind of establish that battle rhythm and expectations on logging versus staying on the trail for the specific details. I definitely understand that, and going forward, we didn't have necessarily all the information we maybe would have liked to have, but that's a great way to really show how it might work in the real world, where if we have to spin up on the fly, we may not always have all the information and the guidance that we need to get started, but with such diverse skill sets on the team, and lots of folks that can take the initiative, we kind of helped each other and got each other along for that one. So in the end, I felt that event went really well, and it was, I believe, Mickey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was the first time that we actually assisted another VOST with an exercise or an activation. Is that right?
No, we actually helped with the Nathan, what was the name of it? With Canada a couple years ago.
Yeah, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but you're right, Mickey.
I can't remember the name of it, but we did help with several days of. So there were, I think, 6 or 7 VOS, and it was with Canada, supporting them. So we're just branching out and continuing to see how we can help. The focus of the Oregon exercise was to see how we could, if a different VOS had reached their capacity, how we could bring in another VOS, and if that worked. So I know there's more that we can do to make that easier or to provide valuable support, but I think that it went well. I haven't heard anything bad. So we'll keep plugging along, and just know that that just helps us create a stronger system across the entire network, even though we're individual teams. Oh, cause 3, yes, you're right. All right, so any questions about the Cascadia VOST exercise?
All right, hearing nothing. Also, too, if you wanted to type as we go along any comments in the Hangouts chat, you can go ahead and do that. We have a group chat running, and we're replying to those as we go.
So we have Scott and Glenn, who are, it says, in a different room.
Okay.
So let me work on that.
Okay, and I'm going to go and switch over to the Trump visit workbook.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead. I'll take this one if you want to
Sure.
troubleshoot a few technical things. Team effort here today, ladies and gentlemen. So now looking at the next agenda item, COVOST was requested by the University of Colorado Springs to assist with social media monitoring regarding any threats or disruptions during Trump's most recent visit to Colorado at the University of Colorado Springs. He also visited Denver, but we didn't monitor that piece of it, just on campus down at the UCCS. Tim Stocklin, one of our members, he was our point of contact down there, and he gave us some really great information on kind of what they were looking for, what they were expecting from us. So I see Tim is on the in the conversation here, so if he wants to jump in at any time and offer his thoughts from the campus side of things and how things went there, I'd absolutely love to hear from Tim. But just to address a couple of after-action items that have been placed into the workbook, I suggested to merge the official resources and other resources tabs. These have kind of existed since the beginning of time, so to speak, and we haven't really been using the official resources tab. Just about everything seems to go in other resources, so we're looking at modifying the workbook, and we're going to address some of those formatting issues and layout issues to help streamline the process so we're not switching between so many different tabs. Also, as many folks have experienced, Skype is problematic, so thankfully we're transitioning away from that platform. Lots of access issues with folks getting on there. Third item down from Risa, again with issues with Skype. Definitely, we all feel your pain. We're switching over to Slack now, so stick with us. We're rolling forward. And finally, what I suggested was to have an organized screenshot archiving option and to create public links. One of the things that also came up in a conversation I was having with Mickey yesterday was what is the, and Tim, I'd be interested to hear your take on this from the point of contact side, having COVOST support the Trump visit to UCCS. How useful? Sure. So, how useful were the screenshots? So that'll be something that we're going to evaluate going forward. So as Mickey types a few things in here, again, to try and get some of our other members looped in here. Tim, if you want to jump in, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts from the side of things from the group that we were supporting. So if you want to jump in, good morning to you.
Good morning, all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I haven't used this since I moved offices on campus, so it was a bit of a scramble to get going. And I don't know if you can see my video or if it's a static picture. Can you tell me that?
We can see you.
What's that?
We can see you.
Okay. I'll behave then. That's what I need to know. Don't mind all the cars zipping by my office. First of all, thank you to the team. Clearly, I understand the benefit that came along with activating the COVOST. That's why I contacted Mickey pretty early on, because I was hoping that I could get our leadership and our public relations folks on board with that. Thanks, Nathan. It's nice to know I look beautiful. From our perspective, it was really a great opportunity to show some folks on campus what the VOST is, and certainly to highlight the great team that we have in Colorado. From the event side of things, it worked exactly like I expected it to. One thing I found out in my position, I was in the kind of command post, but I was almost as overwhelmed pushing information out to our folks as I was trying to see what you guys had. So certainly Mickey emailing any escalation points was helpful. Just so you know, almost every one of those escalations went to our local LEOs, but also to the Secret Service, and they were actually following up on some of those knocking on doors type of situations. So they had their own team. Secret Service said they had their own team that was doing something similar, but I will say that I kept catching the security lead in the command post looking at the screen and asking, what's that, as we were looking at the workbook and pulling up the links that you were providing and the information. So I think they have something similar, but I don't think it's as dialed in and as efficient in the workbook format as what our COVOST is. So again, thank you. One question I would have, and maybe this is something that's come up in previous activations, I've never been on the liaison side, but is it something that we would allow an outside person, for example, our lead PIO on campus, even though they're not a member of the team, would we allow them to see the workbook as we work an event?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've done it several different ways depending on what the local jurisdiction wanted. It really seems to work the best when that liaison or one of the local PIOs can see the workbook, because I think they're just reassured that they can look through there and see what's being found, and that I'm not filtering it or the COVOST manager isn't filtering it.
Yeah.
So I know that Kim Melkor, actually, when we supported the Planned Parenthood, she was in there along with a member of law enforcement. I gave access to both of them, and they just looked through it, and we still escalated items just so that they could step away when they needed to. So I do agree. I think it works better. It's your workbook, so you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, it's your activation. It's your workbook.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay.
anybody can look at that book that you decide. I would say from our point of view, we wouldn't share it with outside jurisdictions unless you asked us to.
Okay. No, and that's helpful. And the only reason I bring that up, Mickey, and it's good for the rest of the team to know this in case they haven't been on that other side of the screen. But you know, I knew what I was looking at. I could filter out things that needed escalated, but from the rumor control standpoint, that was really our JIC's responsibility. So I would need to push that over to them. Whereas if they could see those things, you know, they could handle them without the middleman, so to speak. And certainly with Planned Parenthood, you know, our guy was down at the JIC, so he kind of got a taste for this. I don't know if Kim actually showed him the workbook, but in instances like these events, it's the rumor control is almost as or more important than the actual escalation points, just because the escalations are typically somebody who's got their trumpet out on, maybe I shouldn't say trumpet with this event, but their bullhorn out, making noise on social media behind the screen versus rumor control, well, the venue is full, the parking lot's full. I mean, we see the same thing with X Games as well. So that was just kind of an observation from my side, being on both sides of the fence. So otherwise, yeah, I think it worked great. I would love to, and I think you mentioned it, Mickey, capture the workbook and use it in our after action just to show folks what some of the other information flow was about.
Okay, so two key pieces there. We usually give the workbook to the local jurisdiction, so yes, you can take that, download it as an Excel spreadsheet and keep it for whatever you need. It's your workbook. And so we give those to all the local jurisdictions. So I guess that's just a heads up to the whole team. We do give those away to whoever activated us. The other thing I'd like to know, Tim, since you've been on both sides now, is that screen share piece. We spend a lot of time worrying about getting the screenshot. Do you guys even use that? So is that a piece that we need to keep, or is it something that we can get rid of when we're looking at specific tweets or images? So just from your point of view on the other side, as the person who's getting the information, did you guys go in and look at those screenshots or just go straight to the URL?
This was kind of a unique situation again because Secret Service utilized a mobile platform. I think they were actually using Windows phones. Yeah, I guess that's an upgrade from BlackBerry. But he had trouble pulling up links, and I don't know if it was their in-house, cyber security type, resources or tools that were preventing him from pulling up those links. But when I sent something to their intelligence liaison, he was able to pull up the screen capture immediately, embedded picture versus being able to click on a link. The other thing I will say, and I think many of us have experienced this in our day-to-day social media use, at least in our agency on our campus we have, that there are times where you'll do the screen capture, capture the link, send it on to somebody, and they'll say, well, it's a 404, or it says this post does not exist anymore because the person wised up, pulled the link, pulled the tweet, pulled the post, whatever. So having that screenshot, while it being admissible in a court case, is going to be up for debate, based on manipulating digital images. But you see what I'm saying is that we had a student post one time that they just scored at the vending machine. Well, they stole everything they could get their arm up in there and grab. The guy deleted the tweet, but I had the screen capture to go and hand off to the law enforcement and Adina students and say, no, here's the post, here's the time frame, things like that. So I think it's still important, especially depending on what it is that we're monitoring for.
Okay. All right, then we will keep it. I think we have a couple different methods that might make it easier for members of the team to do that screen share. And so Kyle will talk about one of them once we get into Slack, which basically is just using the snipper tool that you find, if I can get my mouse here, and doing a screenshot that way, turning it into an image and then saving that image. Or the other option is just if you're on a mobile device, you always have the option of going down to a tweet and emailing it, or taking a screenshot on your mobile device and then emailing that to the COVOST manager. So there's a couple different ways to do it, and I'll write up those two. If there's something easier, I'm all up for suggestion, but I think Kyle will show us how he used the snipping tool just to throw into the Slack room so that we had it there as well. All right. Any other items from Friday's Trump visit anyone wants to share? Again, I appreciate everyone's time. That was a long day. you guys did awesome coming in and rotating through those 2-hour shifts. You made it really easy to be able to help support Tim, and it was great to support one of our own.
And yeah, a big help as well, all those that got in there ahead of time into the workbook and set things up kind of in the background. That was really helpful as well. So
yes.
Scott Reuter, and again, I don't remember everyone who jumped in there early, but big thanks to all of you.
Yes, thank you for saying that. And then I just want to remind people in that template, if you can just go to this roster tab and make sure that your contact, especially your email, is correct, so that I can use this to update our Google group email list, and to make sure that you're getting invited to the Slack room the right way. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and head into the Slack training. All right. So Kyle, this is your piece.
Wonderful. All right. So thanks everyone for your comments there on those 2 past activations. I think just one last statistic I saw, it was like 50.25 people hours from that Trump activation, and that's a huge turnout for the team. So now we're looking at the Slack platform here. Before we jump into it, some of you may be wondering, well, why Slack? Why are we transitioning to a different platform? Why are we throwing another one into the mix? And so just to kind of take you through the thought process that Mickey and I had on this, our current tools that we had been using, so Skype, GroupMe, and others, we've been using those since the start, and while they are useful tools, we felt like we might be getting a little too spread out with the platforms that we're using, so the number of platforms as well as just some of the ongoing issues that folks have had with those platforms as well. So transitioning everyone over to Slack gets us all in one spot, one platform, both to train and exercise in, as well as activate in. So keeping that all together. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and sign into Slack. Mickey sent out the invitations via email if you're watching this recording later on to the email address that you have in the COVOST workbook. So go through there and create your account, your username, and all that, and go ahead and get signed in, and you can do that either in the browser or via the desktop app or the Slack mobile app for Android, iOS, and others. So you can customize it, you can add a few things, but let's go ahead and step through a couple of things in the layout of the platform first. So first off, channels on Slack are kind of like the old chat rooms that we used to have in Skype. So channels, if we look over on the left-hand side of the screen, there's all different channels that are listed, and not all of mine, because I've customized my layout already, not all of them are under the channels listing here, but they're sorted in alphabetical order, and each channel kind of has a purpose or a topic that we're going to try and keep within those respective channels. So we see the first one on top there is activation, which is what we're going to use the next time we activate, and all the activation related discussion will be in there. Activation capture, I have this on my screen. You don't have that on yours. This is what one that I was testing during the Trump activation in Colorado Springs last week. Screen capturing and archiving on Slack. It's one of my little projects. The general chat room, this is for any general discussion for the good of the COVOST. And this is where that discussion can happen. This is where I'm asking you to do some things in our the exercise portion of this coming up a little bit later on. Help-Slack is one where that's where we're going to be. That's where you could post any questions that are relating to the Slack platform. So function, questions on how to get to certain things, and you should have all been placed in these rooms by or excuse me. See, I'm doing it already. The channels by default. And then, of course, random for random topics that don't really fall into any of the other categories. And finally, the training room there on the bottom, which we can use for during training exercises and such things. One channel as well, and you'll see mine's up top here, it's starred, is alert-notify. I'm going to say this a couple times because it's really important. I'm going to ask that you please not disable any notifications for the alert-notify channel. We are going to use that alert notify channel as a replacement for group me notifications for activation and such. So you can tweak settings on all the other channels for the types of alerts and notifications you want to get, but please, please, please leave that alert-notify channel fully enabled, and so everything that's posted in there, we want you to be notified of it. All right. So that's what channels are all about, and all the channels that you see the little hashtag symbol or the octothorpe next to, those are public channels, and anyone can join and leave those at will. You do see one that I have here up at the top. It's admin chat, and you'll see the little lock symbol next to it. That's a private channel, and right now that's a discussion between Mickey and myself, and eventually the new communication specialist here at DHSCM will be added to that. And so that's a private conversation that we can have just between the three of us or the two of us at this point, and then otherwise all the other channels are open and we can go between them and have conversations in them as we see fit to do so. You also have the ability to send direct messages. So in that panel over on the left-hand side, you go down towards the bottom, you'll see direct messages, and then you have all of the individuals listed there, and if they choose to show their status, they have a little green dot next to their name if they're online and active. So and if someone sends you a message, you'll see that pop up, and you have a little number there, and that indicates that's an unread message. Chris sent me a message here, so if I click on that, that's a message just between Chris and I. So this is I know, very trusting. I kind of hesitated. There's no delay here, folks. We're doing it live. So that's just a message between Chris and I, and only we can see that. So that's kind of the beauty of it. So another thing we can do with direct messages, we can create those direct messages or those private chats, if you will, between either just 2 people all the way up to 9 people, but try and keep those to a minimum. We want to be able to have folks post those in the public channels, but if you do need to have an offline conversation, you can do that via direct message. And so if I wanted to then reply to Chris, again, he said you can see when people type, it'll come up on the bottom. Chris is typing, and so I'll know that he's getting ready to say something, hopefully nice, but he's getting ready to say something, and I can go ahead and message him back, and I can call him out either by name, or I can just say, hey Chris, how's it going? So that's direct messages just between myself and Chris. Or some of you may have seen we had some action going on in the general channel this morning, and so we can all see those types of things going on.
Do you want to talk about if you use the @Kyle, you receive the notification?
Yes.
There's a benefit to that.
Yep. Oh, and double check that Tim was invited to the Slack team. Saying that he might need one.
Tim, I think it went to your Gmail account. Do you want to go to your UCCS account?
I checked both, Mickey. I'm not finding it. I checked all over the place, but.
Okay. I will resend it.
Thank you.
All right. So now getting back to it, Mickey did mention that if someone did want to, in one of these public channels, if they wanted to mention a specific user to kind of ping them, get them a notification and say, hey, I need you to see this, that's something you can do, and this is very similar in feel to Twitter, where you do an @mention with folks. And so, for example, in the general chat room, if I started or just use the @ symbol anywhere in my message that I'm posting here, down with this bar in the bottom, just hit the @ symbol, and then the whole list of people on the team comes up. And if I can either click on their name, or I can otherwise somehow select them. I could say, for example, click on Chris, and it comes up with his handle or his username on Slack, and I can type a message to him. The same way Nathan just did that with me, and so then I would get a notification on my phone and on the desktop that Nathan mentioned you, so I can go in and see what the heck he wants to talk to me about. So that's how you would do that. And same way I can do that with Chris, and so then Chris will get that notification on his different platforms depending on how he has those set up. So that's a little bit about channels and messaging. One of the beautiful things about Slack is that you can also share files. And one of the things you can do is, and Slack makes this very easy, so you can either just drag and drop a file into the screen or into the Slack window, and it'll come up and ask kind of what you want to, what do you want to name it, and all that. Or you can add it a little bit manually by clicking this plus button next to the little typing or the chat bar here at the bottom. Click plus, and then you can say upload a file, and you'll get the prompt that pops up, your file viewer. You can select the file that you want, go through, and then you can upload it from there. Again, I don't have any pictures. I'm using Mickey's computer right now, so I didn't want to navigate to
Sure, take that one.
any other pictures and things, but we'll just go ahead and use this one since it's pretty cool. Go ahead and do that, and then it asks, what do you want to name it, and then are you sure you're sharing it in the right channel? You can also share this with individuals as well. And again, if you scroll down, it can either be in a channel or in a direct message. For example, I'm going to keep this here in general, and if I wanted to rename it, I could do that. And once I click upload, you'll see that little status bar there at the top, and oop, it pops up. I've now uploaded a file into that chat room, so that is, or into the channel. So that's how we can upload files. Slack also allows you to share links to files that you have uploaded. So that's one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do in the hands-on activity coming up here at the end. And if you wanted to share the link to that, there's two different ways to do it. You could either mouse over the image that you uploaded, click the little 3 dots or the little ellipsis looking thing, click on there, and then you'll see a button to create public link. And so if I click on that, it'll come up and it'll give me a link that I can copy and then paste into, say, the workbook, or I can copy and paste that into a direct message, for example, and that would be the public link to the image that I uploaded. So this makes it viewable by anyone either in or out of Slack, because this is a public link. So that's how you would share links there. Another thing Chris reminded me of here by his message that's in line is if you're in a channel and you want everyone who's in that channel, so that's essentially all of us since we're all in all the channels by default, you can do an @everyone or an @channel, as Chris typed in here. And so then everyone in that channel will get that notification that there's someone who wants you to see something in that respective channel. So again, lots of features. I don't have time to talk through all of them today, but I try and spell those out as concisely as I can, and also expand upon them a little bit in today's training agenda as well. So that's a little bit on the Slack features there. And another thing Slack allows you to do is to search. So as we get to use this platform, this is the images, the text, and everything is going to really grow in here, and we want to be able to search through that information to find what we're looking for. So in the upper right of the screen, and again, this is the desktop interface. Mobile interface is somewhat similar, but play around on both. But for today, I'm doing the desktop interface. So up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a little magnifying glass in the search bar. If I click on that, I can either type in keywords, I can type in a person's username, and I can search for things in a variety of different ways. And you'll see Slack does suggest a few things, different modifiers we can use to really hone in on what indeed we're looking for. So, for example, you can type in a look at things only from a specific user. So if I wanted to say I only want to see things, for example, from Mickey, let's say, then I can over on the right-hand side, it'll show me everything that Mickey has posted that I have access to. So everything in both our direct messages between each other, as well as in the channels as well. And again, depending on what you want to search for, again, it can be by keyword or whatever you want it to be. So play around with the search bar. I'm not going to demo too many things since there's not a lot of content in here to search through at this point. But as we start getting a little bit more active, come back and revisit this.
And the search function is one of the reasons that I like this much better than Skype. And I don't know, I mean, you can pin items that are really important so you can find them immediately. You can search for items so you can get that latest update. So again, I think that you'll find that searching for key items or being able to pin something that's really important and then going back and finding that will be a lot easier for the team.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Mickey. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's two more symbols that I'm going to focus on very briefly. The first is the @ symbol up there in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. My mouse back over here. If I click on that little @ symbol, that shows any posts or messages where I have been mentioned by username, or if people have reacted to something that I have shared. So that's where you can look and see where people have mentioned you if you want to get an idea of what's going on there. And then the second one is the star, and that shows you starred items. So for example, to star an item, if I wanted to star the photo that Nathan posted in the general channel, I can look just to the right of the timestamp here, so his username, then there's a timestamp of when he posted it, and I can click on the star, and that will star this file. And that's a way to kind of save things or pin things, as Mickey referred to it. So if I go up here and I click on the star, that will only show me, items that I have starred, so I can come back to them very quickly. I would suggest using this for as we're gearing up for an activation. If a workbook link is shared, you can star it. If there's a username and password for a new platform, for example, that's shared with the group, you can star that, and that way those quick things you want to come back to and, oh wait, what was that again? You can star it so it's a quick little reference piece, and I very frequently star and unstar items that I want to come back to, and after an activation's done, I unstar it and get ready and gear up for the next one. So again, these are all features that you can test out and play around with. And I won't have time to show you everything today, but there's a lot of really neat stuff you can do within the Slack platform. So that's just a little bit on kind of the layout of the platform. Any questions so far? All right. Not seeing any. Again, you can type those in the group chat, and we'll respond to those. Otherwise, if you, again, need any help with the platform itself, feel free to head over to the help-slack channel and type it in there, and we can all kind of work together as a group and reply to that, or feel free to just click down and send me a direct message. And one final thing on direct messaging, you can actually direct message yourself. I use this to test things out, and also as a kind of a note space in some of the other Slack teams that I'm part of. So yeah, yeah, you can have conversations with yourself too if you want. But now, let's jump into how can we really make Slack look and feel the way that we want to. And this gets into the customization of all those behind the scenes or under the hood stuff, if you will. So to get to that, let's start with preferences. So in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the team name, COVOST, right above your first and last name. So if you click on that, it'll bring up a menu down there. And let's first go to Preferences. So if we click on Preferences, that'll bring up, first thing that it'll come to is talking about notifications. So if we jump in and click on Notification Settings, this is where you can set up how Slack notifies you. So right now I have desktop notifications disabled since I'm on Mickey's computer. On my personal one, it is enabled, and you'll be able to toggle some options there. You can set what kind of sounds you want it to make. Unfortunately, you can't do custom sounds. That might be pretty fun. So I don't know, if anyone has a contact at Slack, that might be a fun thing to integrate. As you go down, different things you can add in. What I will draw your attention to is down here near the bottom, highlight words. And you'll see I have five text strings in there. So my first name, my last name, K Nelson is my username on Slack, WX Kyle Nelson is my Twitter handle, and then I also have my first and last name together. And these are words that you can add in when perhaps someone doesn't do an @ mention of you, or perhaps they mistype or it's a keystroke error or something. But I want to know, and I want to be notified if someone mentions my name or one of my social media handles anywhere within the Slack team. So maybe they didn't tag me, but I'll still see why I'm being mentioned or something like that. Because I don't know, I'm just a curious guy, and if you're talking about me and it's not in a direct message, then that means you probably wanted me to see it. So you can feel free to add things in there. Again, just some suggested formats that I have there for you all to take off and run with. And again, you can do that at your leisure. So other ways you can customize things. If you want to change the look and the layout of it, you can choose the theme. And again, this is just for you. This is not going to change it for everybody. So you can change the theme that you want. You can create a custom theme. Again, whatever your preferences to make Slack look and feel the way that you want. Again, you can click through these. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but down under the advanced options, so the last one in that little column on the left-hand side, again, this is where you can really get in and start making these channels and Slack look and feel the way that you want. And with me, in my channel list, I don't mind having it a little bit cluttered with all the channels and direct messages, but if perhaps you're on a smaller screen for the day, or your computer is just a smaller screen and it's a little bit cluttered there, you can kind of toggle a couple of these options, so just things that are unread, or however you want it to look and feel. So again, lots of things to play around with and customize, and get in there, play around with it, and really make it your own. I not have time to go through everything today, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to click the X in the upper right-hand corner. That's going to take me out of preferences, and that's going to get me back to my Slack interface. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is channel-specific notifications. So that is, how are you going to be notified, or what notifications are you going to get for each different channel? So one that I'll go into, let's say, so the general channel. So if I click on general, and if I go up towards the upper right, I'll see a little gear icon. It says channel settings. So if I click on that, I can then go down to notification preferences. So in there, again, that's where you can set what kind of how often you get desktop notifications. So do you want that for anything that happens in the room, only if you're mentioned, or not at all? So you can go ahead and again set these preferences as you wish. The training chat room will get a little bit noisy today once you all get in and work through that final activity. So you can go ahead and disable, or you can kind of limit those notifications for that if you want. But again, with the alert notify channel, please, 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 again, don't disable notifications for this. You want to make sure that you're getting notifications for everything that's posted in here, because we're using this channel, the alert-notify, as a replacement for GroupMe. And finally, I will mention that you can star channels as well. That's why in my column on the left-hand side, you'll see I have a few channels starred up top. So if we go to a specific channel, say activation, for example, right next to the channel name, I'll see the little star icon, and I can star the channel, and it pops up in the upper left. So if I want to unstar it, it goes back down under regular channels. So lots of ways to customize and make Slack feel and look how you want it to. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to do in the activity here at the end is to add bio, profile photo, and all that to Slack. And so the way to get into that, if you don't do it right when you sign up, is if we go to click on the team name again in the upper left hand of the screen, and then we click on profile and account. And so this is where you get into some of those settings here. It pops up on the right. You'll see I have a mugshot up there already. And if I click on edit profile, that'll bring up a space where I can enter my information, a couple words on what you do. And again, I'm going to ask that you all do this. Put a profile photo in there. I ask just so that we all know what you look like, and that just because we're a team, we're a big happy family. So let's keep with that. I didn't change anything, so I'm going to click cancel. You can click save changes in the lower right hand corner if you did make any modifications. The other thing is account settings, and under account settings, this is where you can change, again, usernames, passwords, two-factor authentication if that's your jam, and lots of other things in here as well. Also, then the notifications piece, so under account, click on notifications. This allows you to, this is where you can also see any channel-specific settings that you have. So you'll see I have the random and the training channel. I'm not notified for everything. I'm only notified if people mention me by name. Otherwise, I use the default settings to get notified whenever anything is posted. So that's a little bit about the behind the scenes and kind of under the hood type settings. Any questions on customizing at this point?
And I just want to let everyone know on the team that because there's a lot to learn today, and we'll all be learning together. I've been using this for about 6 months. Kyle's been using it as well for an extended time. I think we have other users. Please just jump into the general room or and ask questions. So if you can't find something, if you don't know how to get something to work on the tool, please just ask, and we'll make sure that we get everyone up to the same level. Yeah, and go ahead and put those questions in the help-Slack room. Or in the help room. That channel, yep. And that's where we can keep the Slack-related discussion, because chances are, and as Mickey said, I will admit this is a lot. It's a new platform, a little bit of a learning curve unless you've used it a little bit. So just be patient. We're all going to learn this together. We're working forward together as a team, and we're here to help each other out. So that's how we're going to move forward with this. And then from here, to go ahead and get back to Slack in the upper right-hand corner, once you've made your modifications, go ahead and click on Launch, and then that will bring Slack back up for you here in your browser. So that's a little bit about the Slack platform. Again, lots more than I can show you right now today, but again, this is it's on you all to get familiar with it and customize it. So just some final thoughts and takeaways, and I have a couple of things to say, and then I'll ask Mickey for her comments as well. So the first thing now is going forward here, as of the date of this recording, August 2nd, 2016, we will no longer be using Skype or GroupMe for alerting, messaging, or collaboration.
we are officially transitioning everything over to the Slack platform. And again, realizing Slack has many features, lots of settings and ways to customize it, lots of menus to go through if you really want to start tweaking things, but I really ask that each of you at least be familiar with messaging, posting things, file sharing, as well as the searching features within Slack. And start there at the basics, and we can move forward from there. But those are the things that I'd like us to be familiar with first and foremost. And once again, I'm just going to remind you, as you're going in and changing settings for channels, the notification settings, please keep all alerts on for the alert-notify channel. Another thing I'm doing, again, is experimenting with Slack to store our screenshots, and I'll get into that in just a couple of seconds here with the guided activity that we're going to go ahead and go through. And finally, if you do have any ideas, if you've used Slack before for business or for other purposes, if you have an idea how we can integrate it more into our exercises, our operations, etc., please go ahead and send me a direct message or shoot me an email. I'm always looking for new ways we can expand the use of these new tools and platforms. And also in today's agenda that you all were sent the link to yesterday, there's some other YouTube videos that Slack made, so you can go ahead, click on those, and kind of step through things with the folks from the Slack platform. That's all I have for final thoughts and takeaways. Mickey, what are your comments?
So the biggest thing I do want everyone to remember, Slack is just where we brainstorm and touch base during the activation. This is not where we should be documenting all of the information for our local agency. So again, all of the information, the things that you're finding, need to be documented in that workbook, and that's the place and that's the piece that I'm giving to the local jurisdiction. I am not giving them access to the Slack channel. So it's great when, like in Skype this weekend, people are sharing screenshots there. That helps me as the boss manager. But I need that stuff shared in that workbook, because that's the documented product that we're providing. So don't worry about doing a lot of documentation here in Slack. This is where we're talking about, are we finding stuff, who's coordinating what channels, and what is our current mission, kind of thing. So please just remember that. It does help when we share some of those screenshots in this platform, just so that we understand what we're looking at. But the documentation piece product is that workbook, and that's where, at the end of the day, everything needs to be located.
Awesome. Thank you, Mickey. So at this point, we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to go over very briefly the practical exercise portion of this, a little bit of homework if you haven't jumped on it already here. And just to get familiar with the Slack platform, as it's outlined in today's training agenda, what I'm asking you all to do is to first complete your profile by adding a profile picture, a short bio there, and again, if you didn't do that when you signed up, you can go back in there as we reviewed, clicking on the team name, and then go into profile and account, and you can put a profile picture and a short bio in there. And second thing is, I'm asking everyone to post a brief message kind of introducing yourself or just saying hi in the general channel. And so if we just go to the general channel, some folks have had some fun here already posting things, and so go ahead, post those things in there. Thanks for the kudos, Nathan. Post that in there, and then once you have posted those items in there, go ahead and @mention someone who's already kind of said hi or introduced themselves. Go ahead and @mention somebody, and welcome them to the team room as well, or to the general channel, and just kind of get that interaction piece and get comfortable with doing the @mentions of another user, and see what that feels like. After you've done that, I'm only asking for 2 kind of replies or comments in there. And yes, Slack does allow GIFs. I can only imagine this is going to be so much fun for activations. Go ahead and please, using your tool of choice, screenshot. Take a screenshot of the two comments that you post, so the two kind of the @mentions that you do to reply to some folks. Please take screenshots of your replies in there, and then upload those two screenshots in the training channel. So once you've taken your screenshots, you can go to the training channel, and you can either just drag and drop those photos in to Slack, or again, you can do that the manual way. Down in the lower left, click on the plus icon next to the chat box and say upload a file. It'll bring up your file viewer, and you can upload your two screenshots in there. Now, once you have uploaded your screenshot, go ahead and make sure that, remember to mouse over, click on the two dots there, and do the create public link. Once you've done all that, copy those public links and send me a direct message on Slack. Send me those two public links to your screenshots, and then also go ahead and I'm also asking for everyone to send me only three topics, apps, and or platforms that you would like to present on or learn more about in future trainings. I know some of you are really big, savvy experts on platforms or maybe some emerging technologies. Please help me fill out our team's training calendar. I want to make this relevant, I want to make this fun, and make this exciting. I know we've had a little bit of maybe a feeling of a disconnect or adversity to how things may have been running, but I'm here to tell you that that's no longer the case. We're moving forward here. We're full steam ahead, and help me to make this team and to keep this team as a model team for the nation and for the world within virtual operations support. So that will kind of wrap up the practical exercise of things. And again, this is all outlined in the training agenda for today, so go ahead and get those items taken care of, and continue to explore the additional features of Slack on your own time. Try things out in the training channel, post questions in the help-Slack channel if you have them, and let's make this a fun and exciting platform to go through and to use as a team. And finally, just a reminder that we're changing up those meetings again, so if you didn't write it down before, please write it down now. Starting in September 2016, we are transitioning the meeting times to the third Friday of the month at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So that means our next meeting is September 16th, Friday, September 16th at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So unless Mickey has anything.
I do. I just, to close up, just wanted again to say how much the state of Colorado appreciates your time and your talents. Again, if you have any topics that you'd like to share, we have some pretty amazing members on our team. So we would love to have you share items that you are testing and using in your own agencies and in your own life. And I will update the calendar invite for the team and resend that out before Friday. I just want to give people time who couldn't make the meeting to get into that roster, update their contact information so that I have everyone's current information on that roster and in that Google group. So I think we're going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, but we will stay on for a couple minutes and take any more questions that people have. And then I will also send out this. This will just go to the COVOST YouTube channel, and you'll have access to look at it if you want to, and the other team members will be able to participate as well. So thank you for your time this morning, and I think we are just a little bit over, but have a good day.
Yeah, thanks everyone.